This is Lola, and I'm on a wagon.
Started by two twin brothers. You can listen to me or not. If you just want to ride and tune me out, I'm good with that too. Whatever. But if you have questions, throw your hand up. Or Brad and I will wait here after the tour to talk with you a little bit if you have specific questions. Our children are Penn State grads, and they came back to our business. When our daughter returned, she said, we need cut your own flowers. And at the time, I really didn't see that that was necessary. She was right, I was wrong. This is our cut your own patch right in here. It's only got about 2 weeks of life left in it, but men and women love to cut their own. We also cut bouquets and sell them inside our market. And we even have a few people who order bouquets and come for us, have us make them up, and they come to pick them up. This is a volunteer sunflower field. That was sunflowers last year, and we've had some that have just stayed with us for this year. This is lavender right here to my right. Lavender is another one of those floral things that I didn't see was so popular, but it is. This was just planted this year. So till next year, we'll have some good harvests out of there. We cut it in the summer when it's purple and beautiful. We also let it dry, and we sell bouquets of dried lavender, or we make wreaths. These are black raspberries. When our son returned, he also went to Penn State. These are black raspberries. They're very perishable. They are picked at 6 in the morning before the sun gets so intense. Once they're picked, we have about 2 days to sell them. They're so very perishable. But if we don't have them sold in 2 days, they get converted to a pie in our bakery. We do have a scratch bakery, so a lot of the produce that we grow on our farm ends up in our bakery in a pie or a quiche or what have you. On the far side is our blueberries. That was another brainchild of our son, Bruce. You'll see that there is teal-colored netting over it. The first year we didn't want to pay for the netting. It's about $6,000 to buy that netting, but the birds got most of the blueberries. So we put the netting up over, and we paid for the netting in the first year. So since that time, we've replaced it 3 times, but it's absolutely essential or the birds get them all. How many of you have ever planted a tomato?
Oh, we have.
Okay, quite a few of you. So if you plant a tomato and you find that, well, that didn't taste very good, or it didn't get pretty and red and lovely the way you wanted it, are you going to plant that same variety the next year? No, you're going to pick a different tomato plant, right? So in apple production, when we plant an orchard, we go in with the assumption that that apple tree is going to be in the ground for 25 to 40 years.
Wow.
So we want to be very sure of what we're planting. So you say, well, how the heck do you know what to plant? This is a test block right in here to my right. There are about 30 different varieties in here, 5 trees of each variety. And as they become mature, we pick them, we bring them into our market, we let our customers sample them, we store them, we see how long they store, we bake with them to see how well they bake. And only after we have decided or determined that, yep, that's a good one, people like it keeps well, it bakes well, that's when we plant an orchard. The orchard that we're coming into right now is called Lula. This is an apple that started in that test block. Everybody loved it, so we planted this entire block in Ludicrous. These will be picked in about 2 weeks. As we ride along here, this is a great view of what it's like to be a commercial grower in today's world. We no longer plant those big old standard apple trees where the apples at the center were always very small, under color, not very good. Instead, this is called high density trellised planting. The trees are very close together, and the rows are very close together. That's by design. As the tree grows, we support it with a little crimp tool to the yellow wire. So as it gets taller and taller, it gets supported to the yellow wire. Usually we go 3 wires high, sometimes yellow, or 4 wires high. But these are 3 wires, and when it gets to that top one, we crimp it, and then we can top the top of the tree. We do that to keep the height of the tree down. We no longer want to pick her out there with a great big straight ladder. At the very most, he'll use a step ladder. We have a mechanized platform that he can stand on a platform, and it takes him right through the orchard, and he picks from that platform. But all of the apples are exposed to the sun. What that does is give you a really sweet, great tasting, colorful apple, and that's what we want, unlike those big old standard trees. How long will we keep a tree? 25 to 40 years. Or if consumers change their mind and we no longer have a market, we'll push them out sooner. But that's a good segue into the cost. The cost of planting 1 acre of high density trellised orchards like this is about $20,000. So when you make that investment, you want to be really darn sure that your consumer is still going to want that apple. Honeycrisp is a great example. How many of you like Honeycrisp? Right, we can't grow enough Honeycrisp. That's tried and true. We know we can put Honeycrisp in the ground and we can sell them. But we can't sell 500 acres of Honeycrisp. So we do our homework and we figure out what the growing trends are and try to plant the right things. As we round the corner here, the orchard to my right is in second leaf. That's a grower's way of saying this is a 2-year-old tree. It's in second leaf. You'll notice there are no apples on those trees. That's by design. We will not allow a 2-year-old tree to grow any fruit. And if I can put it this way that you can understand it, like a very young child, you don't expect a baby to do anything. You just want to feed that child and nurture that child and let that child sleep. That's the way these trees are. We want to take care of that tree so that all of the energy goes into growing a really good, strong tree, not apples. So this is a second leaf tree. By year 3, third leaf are on my left, and this is what these will look like next year. This is the crop load on a 3rd-year tree. This is pretty phenomenal. I'm sure it's not to your eyes, but there's a really great set of fruit on a 3-year-old tree. Pretty amazing. Also gives you a good view here of the yellow trellising and how closely they are together. When you make the decision to plant a high-density trellised orchard, it changes your entire way of growing things. You have to buy smaller tractors, more narrow mowers, more narrow sprayers, everything because the rows are so much closer together. So it's a big investment when you make this decision to do this. Directly to our right is a gala planting. These were picked about 10 days ago. Pay attention to how many apples are on the ground. Can you see that? If the people over here can't see it, we'll be coming around another way that you'll be able to see. We are no longer allowed to pick any apples off the orchard floor. When Brad and I first got married, we had no money. And after our work days, we would gather drops. We would spread bins in the orchard and we would gather drops. That's what we call these drops. We would gather drops and they would be taken to Musselman, Nouse, Duffy Mod, whoever the grower was that was receiving them. And then Brad and I would get the money for those apples. We often laugh that it was some of our best early marriage memories because we both had worked all day and it gave us a chance to talk while we were gathering drops. Today, can't do that. Food safety issues will not allow us to pick anything up off the orchard floor. It drives me crazy because there's so much waste. And when you pick those drops up, they're going to go to the canner. They're going to be boiled. All that bacteria is going to be gotten rid of because of the high temperatures. Doesn't matter. Food safety regulations will not allow you to pick off the orchard floor. Yes, I'm shaking my head right with you. There's so many hungry people in the world and we can't gather up those apples. Drives me crazy. Great example here of one of our 11 ponds. As you might guess, ponds are important for irrigation, and the last 3 weeks we have been hitting them very hard. All summer we've had a lot of rainfall and it took all the pressure off, and boy, here lately we haven't seen rain in a long time. We have the benefit of our farm budding the property at Penn State Fruit Research Lab. They test our soil and our leaves twice a year, send a report back to us so that if we're deficient in something, we can put that fertilizer right in that, I always call it the robotic thing over there, the irrigation pump. We can put fertilizer right in there and it'll go right to the roots of the trees where we need it. Also, if we have too much of something, those reports tell us to back off. You don't need any more nitrogen. You don't need to spread any more lime. We do stock the pond with fish. If any of you have swimming pools, you know what your swimming pools look like if nobody ever gets in them. They start getting a little stagnant, a little smelly, maybe filled with some things you don't want. Same is true for a pond. Fish in there, fish swimming help keep the pond water clear so that when we turn that pump on and want water, it's not filled with algae and all kinds of gunk. It's clean water. Obviously, we don't apply chemicals like you can to your swimming pools in your backyard. As we round the corner here, you can see a lot of examples of the black tubing under the trees. Now how when we plant an orchard, planting that tubing is right a part of the orchard. That's a part of the $20,000 an acre price tag that you're looking at. At the height of the season, we employ about 75 people. About 30 of those people are either Latino or Haitian. They pick 100% of our crop by hand. So if you hear anyone saying that we are hiring people that is taking work away from domestic people, don't believe it. The domestic people do not want to work like this, nor do they have the skill set necessarily. Our harvest team are phenomenal. We had our farm supervisor on the last wagon. I can't say enough about the Latino and Haitian people who work for us. As we drive along here, I want you to start paying it. Right there's a dead tree. Start paying attention to some dead random trees in the orchard. I'll try to pick them out ahead of time so you can see them. Sadly, there's way more than right in there are two side by side, dead trees right out of nowhere. Everything looks amazing. Right there's another one. There's another. So last year we started to see this, and this is very alarming because this is a pretty young orchard. It's a very healthy orchard, and all of a sudden we are seeing this. The fruit extension is working on what is happening. There's a couple different theories. At first we thought it was just on our farm and what was happening, and we have since learned that it's county-wide. Adams County as a whole has this problem, and there are thousands of trees that are just randomly dying. Really not sure why. It could be a fungus in the rootstock when we got it, and it seems that it is carried by water. So when we're irrigating and there's one, if the water is running to the next tree, it can impact the next tree. A person on our last tour said, well, aren't you going to take them out? Yes. At the end of the season last year, and at the end this year too, when we're done harvesting everything, we will go in farm-wide and get rid of all those dead trees, and we'll look at the trees all around and see if they also need to come out. There's some thought that it's like a contagious, like, you know, you've got COVID and you're breathing on someone else and then that person has COVID. There's some talk about that it's contagious to other trees. So a lot of experiments being done on it, but we hope that they can get it under control. It's pretty alarming. When did that change that you couldn't pick drops? I'm going to say probably 10, 12 years ago. Yeah. I don't know if I said this to this group. I mentioned our children being in the business. Our son graduated from Penn State with horticulture and Spanish degrees. Unfortunately, he had a brain tumor and passed away 3 years ago. A lot of these plantings are thanks to him, thanks to his research and his forward thinking. But he lives on the far corner of the farm, and he used to text me during U-pick season because, sorry everybody, just forgive me, U-pickers are notorious for lots of drops because there's lots of children and, you know, there's things are falling all the time. And Bruce would text me and say, Mom, there's so many drops, can't you do anything? I said, put a blinder on and just don't look. Just don't look at the U-pick. So I'm going to say 10, 12 years that we haven't been able to do that. It's really unfortunate. He asked, how many are we leaving on the orchard floor? 5%, 10% of the crops. Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, if you come to our U-pick in the middle of October, and that's when Bruce would text me and say, you know, the floor is just covered with apples. Yeah. It's so many that if we get older people who want to U-pick, we will caution them where they're walking because there's so many apples on the orchard floor, you know, and all you need to do is, you know, fall over on an apple, but there's just so many down. Talk about pollination here a little bit. You may or may not know that apples are not self-pollinating. Often people will come to the market and say, hey, I planted an apple tree in my backyard and I haven't got one apple. That's because apples don't pollinate themselves. You either need to have another apple that will cross-pollinate, or you rent bees. We rent honeybees because of the size of our farm. Our bees come from Florida. They work their way up the coast. They stay with us during bloom, which is usually 2 to 4 weeks in the spring, and then they move on to New York State and Vermont and up to Maine, and then they go back to Florida. That's honeybees. An apple blossom has a wide open bloom like a paper plate. Okay, so a little honeybee's little nose can get right in there. Brambles, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries have a tubular bloom like this, and a honeybee can't get in to the center where it needs to get. So when our son returned to the business and we started with blueberries and black raspberries, we had to purchase bumblebees. The bumblebees come from Michigan. Believe it or not, they are flown in on a plane to Harrisburg International Airport. An UPS truck picks them up and drops them at our door. The UPS drivers are absolutely freaked out by these, as you might imagine, because the bees are very angry by this time. Their day started very early in Michigan, and by late afternoon they're in Pennsylvania, and they're not happy. So our crew goes in and grabs the skids and brings them out and sets them in the orchard near the berry. The peaches aren't here anymore. Peach season is over. Do you like peaches? Yeah, they're over for another year. We grow about 50 different varieties of apples, so it makes us laugh. Customers will come to the market and say, I got this really good apple last year. It was red and it was sweet. What was it? Oh my, it could have been one of 50. We never know how to answer that question. This is a weather station on our farm. This is probably one of the best technological advancements in my lifetime. It's taking track of our weather 24 hours a day, all year long. We all have apps on our phones, and it is alerting us to weather incidences, not unlike an Amber Alert when a child is missing. And you might say, well, what's the big deal? Remember, we have 30 workers outside, and they don't know what the weather is. It alerts us in plenty of time that we can get them and get them into safety. Sorry.
Why do apples need water to grow?
Why do apples need water to grow? Well, that's a very, very good question. Do you think you need apples to grow or water to grow?
Yeah.
I bet you do. If suddenly you stop drinking water, you will become very sick. And that's the way apples are too. They just need that moisture to make a strong, strong tree. Is this your mom? I bet if she gives you nothing to drink for the next 2 days, you're not going to be feeling great. Right? Same with fruit trees. Good question. This is the back half of our U-pick right here. I'm sorry, I got quiet. We start with Macintosh. We started about a week ago. The deep red are Macintosh, and we go all the way down to the bottom of the hill with Gold Rush. Gold Rush are the last apple we pick each year, end of October or early December or early November.
I think we're almost home.
As we climb up the hill here, this is our wholesale building. I think I did share that we ship south to Florida and north to Vermont. We have our own CDL drivers and trucks of our own, and we send them out with deliveries. Some people have their own trucks. And if you look up to Brad and like off to 1 or 2 o'clock, you can get a good view of the different kind of containers we use. I'll give the example of Thanksgiving dinner, and you've got everything ready to eat, and holy smokes, you don't have any kind of plate to put your turkey on. Feeling of panic. I don't want to sit that big roast pan on the table. The same is true for us when we're picking things. We have to have the right containers at the right place at the right time to put that fruit in that needs picked. In the last 10 years, we have moved from a lot of wood bins to plastic. There's just a few plastic sitting right there. Usually, I don't know, back there's a whole lot of them. We really don't like plastic bins. They are very slippery in the orchard. They slide on the forks of the tractor. They're plastic. They're not fun to work with. There is also no way to recycle them. So when you have broken plastic bins, you put them in a heap. It was a huge mistake in the development that there was no way to recycle them. However, the buyers that insist on plastic bins are the big boys that you will know. Costco, BJ's, Sam's Club, Walmart, the big guys, Wegmans. They will not receive fruit in wood. So we have to invest in plastic in order to be able to make that sale. It drives me a little crazy, but if you want to make the sale, it's what you have to do. Our year starts with asparagus towards the end of April and moves right into strawberries, blueberries, apricots, peaches, nectarines, and so forth. Right now we're picking plums, apples, and pears. And the last crop we will pick are those gold rush apples, and that can be as late as November. I commented on what a good driver Brad was. This is what he does for a living, but 2 years ago, the girl, my niece, who drives the tractor for the fall tours, was pregnant and she didn't want to drive. We had no one to drive, and we see 4,000 kids through here in the fall, so it wasn't an option to not have a tractor driver. So I asked Brad if he thought that I could drive, and he said, oh gosh, yes, anybody can learn to drive a tractor. He has the patience of Job. Anyway, he taught me to drive, and I got very good at going forward. I never mastered the going backward. I watched YouTube videos. I had everybody and their brother helping me try to back up. There's no way I could back this up. So Brad's office is up in that building. So when I would come around the back of the building, I would text him the letter H. That meant helped him know that I was here or help. Either of those two words, here or help. And he would run down the hill, jump on the tractor, back it up, and bring me in. It's the only way we could make it work. So the man's a saint. U-Pick has already started on Macintosh. Yep. Can we have a round of applause for Saint Brad? Thank you, Brad.